the best everyday stain remover to spot treat customer stains?
I gave you that answer. Dawn. Dawn and
Good
ammonia.
one.
I mean, you're not gonna see that unless you're hanging out with me. You're not gonna see that many wine stains, and you're not gonna see that many acid side stains. The most common ones are going to be the ink stain, so you want to have that, and then the everyday that we used all the time. I mean, it in my mind, it's better than like a Shout or a what's the other one that, you know, all those over-the-counter ones. It's a lot less expensive, and it does as good of or better job depending on what the stain is. Ammonia.
Ammonia.
Ammonia and Dawn.
You talked about
bleach around it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
You talked about soaking garments with heavy stains and using an enzyme products, and they're wanting to know what enzyme products would you use for that?
So there's a lot of different ones out there. Probably the most common and easiest to get a hold of from a chemical supplier is a commercial shirt laundry powder. So if you have a really, and you want the high-end one, they make cheap ones, but most commercial shirt, so your regular dry cleaner, they wash, if they have a powder detergent, they're washing their shirts, the ones they're pressing like what I'm wearing, they're washing that with an enzyme detergent. And the better ones are going to have a more expensive product. And I really don't even know what they cost today because I haven't looked at my cost sheet, you know, but a 5-gallon pail of it a few years ago was over 200 bucks. It does not take much. A 5-gallon pail will last and if you can get it in a 1-gallon pail, get that, because unless you really plan on doing a lot of soaking, it only takes, you know, like an ounce per gallon of water to make a really strong concentration. And I mean, it really doesn't take much. But the best that your chemical manufacturer will sell, you want to get the best quality because enzymes are expensive. You want the detergent with the most enzymes in it because that's going to be the most ability to do this cleaning, right? And what enzymes are is they're little microorganisms that basically work on different types of stains. There's about 5 to 8 categories of enzymes, but a lot of detergents will only have 4 categories in them. For the laundry side, there are other enzymes that do things like clean oil spills, and they put in sewer treatment plants to clean water. But specifically on the laundry side, the more expensive ones will have a broader range of enzymes in them, and there'll be a higher concentration of them. So that's what you really want, is a really, really good shirt laundry enzyme detergent.
So kind of related to this, this person's wanting to know if you can give an example of an optical brightener and a color catcher. You mentioned those, but I think they're not quite sure what an example of that would be.
Well, an optical brightener, grandmothers, or maybe your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers today, would have had it in their house. It was called Mrs. Something's bluing agent, and it came in a bottle. And everybody would put that in their white loads in the rinse cycle. And it's what reason why Tide and a lot of laundry detergents are blue. So blue naturally reflects sunlight. So optically brightening something is changing the way that our eyes look at a fabric and how the light is reflecting off that fabric. So what it's doing is it's doing 2 things. It's adding dye back in it's more friendly to reflect light with, which blue does. And it also is softening the fabric to some extent. When I say softening, it's making it look more reflective. So flattening the fabric. And they're naturally in almost any high-end detergent. Those kinds of things are included in those higher end detergents. and I don't know. I mean, I think you can buy them still. You'd have to go really look on at a hardware store or a convenient, like a Target or a Walmart for, Mrs. Something's bluing agent. It's still out there, I'm sure. But I mean, you definitely do not want to have your employees, dosing loads with that unless they really know what they're doing. Because the other thing that can happen is if you don't mix that properly, you'll get blue spots on garments that will show up. So it really needs to be mixed well in the load. So, I mean, I wouldn't go out and buy a bluing or a brightening agent. I would just make sure that your manufacturers, you're getting a product that has it in it. And your chemical salesperson should have that. What was the other part that
Color catcher.
Color catchers, right. Procter & Gamble came out with boxes of them, and they looked like dryer sheets. And they looked like a box that came out in dryer sheets, but they were single use. Okay. The stuff that you can get from your dry cleaning supplier is, depending on the size, they have two sizes. They have a 50 use or a 30 use, and it looks like a towel for all intents and purposes. A microfiber towel without the roughness to it, like a really high sheen microfiber towel. But it's got chemicals on it that will attract fugitive dyes, and they actually work really well. And what will happen is you'll see that color of that change over time as it is holding and collecting dyes, and as it gets darker, that's when you know to stop using it, right? So its original color is kind of an off gray and a really light off gray, and then as it collects more fugitive dyes, it becomes darker until you really shouldn't, probably use it anymore.